What can we expect?
If you've got a game, so normally if I'll talk about a game in, say, Pretoria Super Sport Park. So the match officials are all stay at the same place. Both international teams stay there, and then they get transported to, say, Super Sport Park. They stay in a hotel in Sandton, get transported to Super Sport Park every morning in a convoy, a police convoy. The players travel in separate buses, separate teams, separate buses, and then the match officials will be in another bus or a small combi, and then they'll go to the ground. After they start at 10 o'clock or 10:30, they'd be there at 9.
There,
all their of very big computers and iPads and all that you can't have with you, so they have to be, once you arrive at the girl hand off, and he was caught doing the wrong things.
I mean, you would think that they would actually be the sweet spot for corruption, because firstly they have the obvious control. Corruption of SA.
Yes, goes so all guys for betting. So they have to have an anti-corruption official at all of those games.
And he will be a CSA official. Obviously that's not his only job, he probably does something else at CSA, but he is the nominated official at that game.
At that game, yes.
Okay, and then all the players and having to tell the official?
Well, as soon as possible.
Okay, so it's not something you can come back in 3 months doing on this? And it's 9:30 in the morning, obviously going to have a warm-up. What did you?
So the umpires, when they arrive at the game, they need to go out and inspect the wicket. If it's the start of a test match, you'd have the fourth umpire, 10 pitches will go in, as I said. Use what players he can have, and so before they start.
So over time to develop a very good role. A good ball with the TV production.
Through how run handle other things, especially if you've got the various things. So if DRS is there, what you would call would be in speak there.
We had a situation at Newlands with where funny the team really way that the Australians were handling the ball. Instructed the cameraman to follow the ball really. I think they did for about an hour until that whole thing with this, and the TV production. This became part of the Proteas to influence the game.
I wouldn't say be part of the camp. I think they're trying to well, it's fair play, I suppose, trying to make sure that fair play has been carried out. You as an umpire in the field will look and see what the players are doing. So when the ball's thrown back from the wicket keeper, who the ball's going to, check the ball irregularly but regularly, that sort of thing. But as an umpire in the field, he's not going to be looking in 50 different places at one time. So it's not that difficult for people to do, fielders to do something with the ball and the umpire not to pick it up, because both umpires can't be watching everyone all the time.
No, fair enough. Okay, so you guys you have your own dressing room as well, obviously?
Yes, own dressing room, and some are better than others.
Tell us the best and the worst.
Super Sport Park is really good. It's a big area, there are nice showers, etc. We've had times we had to change in caravans. So my first Benson and Hedges game was you had to change in a caravan. And so normally some really different, they've a lot improved to what they used to be.
Just to let you know what's going on, we are waiting for the third T20 between South Africa and Zimbabwe. Still raining at Benoni, and some feedback.
And this is not an update, it's actually a tweet from Daniel Jocelyn, who says that we are new. If we knew it can make it stop raining, the original gorilla. So he said we must look into how we can get the game going. But at this rate, my response to him was, in Dambula they couldn't make it stop raining then, and then his reply was that's just because they'd rather be commentating on Test cricket anyway.
Well, exactly. The OGs are a grumpy lot, aren't they? Are there any other tweets, questions for Barry at all?
No, actually. Yeah, if you have any questions for Barry, please tweet us on at SA Gorilla. We'll pick it up there, or hashtag SA Gorilla Cricket SA, or hashtag SA Gorilla as in GUERILLA.
So
that sounded more confusing than it needed to be. Okay, but anyway, Barry.
So you're talking about dressing rooms, yeah. So the dressing rooms, some are really good, some have got good viewpoints of the games. Because if you go to our normal game, there are a lot of people in the umpire's room, so you have to have a viewing area. So the viewing areas, so quite a few have a viewing area, and then they have the umpire's room at the back, and their toilets and showers and that sort of thing. Because if you've got a test match or an ODI or T20, so the one down Benoni, so it has a really small frontage, and you have to put in there, the match referee has to sit there, the TV umpire has to sit there, and it's quite squashed. And then you've got the analyst, and during our local games he is also around in that part. And so if there's not much of a viewing area, then everyone's stuck together and it's not really pleasant.
Sorry, you say the analyst.
So if you look at I'm not really Test cricket or one day or ODIs, our normal cricket, we've got an analyst. So there are cameras at the ground. They're not televised, most of our games, the franchise games, especially the 4-day stuff. So they'll have these cameras, and they'll have an analyst who'll record, and they'll record umpires' decisions and that sort of thing, and give feedback to both teams. So
that is completely separate from whatever analysts the teams individually have?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you've got that space there. The TV umpire and the match referee, they're all sitting in that same space as well?
Yes. So I, as a match referee, will sit, and the TV umpire will be next to me, and he'll have his TV there. There's also normally another TV in the room, so you can hear commentary, and that's quite important. Because they've got stump mics, and stump mics can pick up players' bad behaviour. And the worst thing is for a TV umpire to have his mic turned off, and there's some abuse going on in the field, and you can hear it coming over on the proper TV, and then nothing's done about it.
So, I mean, you started umpiring in the early 90s, which was the time well before DRS, and in fact even before stump mics, I think. Did the introduction of things like stump microphones improve behaviour on the field?
Yes, they did, and they did, and they've. Sometimes people don't listen. I remember what was Andre Nel got reported for bad behaviour, not while he was bowling, while he was batting.
What did he do?
He said something inappropriate over the stump while batting.
Right, well, good day, everybody. I'm afraid the way that this is going to work is we're going to have to set up our Skype live on air because our cell phone reception is not working. So we are going to end that interview with Umpire Barry. I'm going to put the mics back up live. James, can you hear me? James, can you hear me? Hello, James. Oh, mate, I could hear you just recently. Okay, we'll... I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to play a song in the meantime, and we will get James back on air.
Guerrilla cricket. Whoa. Guerrilla cricket. Whoa. Guerrilla. Take guard, man the barricades, patrol the cover boundary. At last the time is come, this is a cricketing emergency. Hear this call to arms for every cricket revolutionary. Take up your bats and stumps for the test match insurgency. At first they tried to silence us, but we would not be silenced. They threatened us with lies, so we threatened them with violence. Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice.
An amazing amount of
Big guerrilla cricket, it's the finest choice you'll ever make. There's so much more to cricket than red counters and a slice of cake. At first they tried to sanitize us and clean up our act, but people like it filthy, and we know that for a fact. Fidel Castro, Lenny Pascoe, Carlos the Jackal, Umar Akmal, Mahatma Gandhi, Grant and Andy, Brendan Behan, Austin Ian, guerrilla cricket. Stick with us, cause you know
right,
not the kind of thing that you see on the TV.
Very good afternoon back to everybody, and my name is Simon Gear. On the couch is Robin Searle, and hopefully down in Cape Town is James King. James, you there?
I am here indeed, Simon. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Clear, that's...
Thank you.
Line there, please, Robin. James, so we're going to do, as we did yesterday with you doing ball by ball, I have hopefully synced our feeds, and we will see if it's not working.
He does, and this one is played back to him by Virat Kohli, and there is no run. So we are pretty much on track here. With the synchronization. I just want to check, is it possible for you to turn your camera on your PC? I'm not sure. Mutasami in, and this one pitching outside the line of the leg stump, turning into the right hander, is played out to the man at deep mid wicket, and there is a single. Kohli moves to 195, just short of his century. And good to have you there, Robin.
Thank you very much. Give me that time.
James, I will set up the. Is your phone not working? Can we not send you a WhatsApp video call?
Let me try and answer that. Hold on a second. Yeah. I think we can do this.
So we'll do that. I'll do
Just
ball by
mute
ball
it.
in the meantime, and we will get James properly sorted out. So Mutasami coming in, left arm over the wicket into the left-handed Jadeja. He just works it off his hips, goes out to, I think that is KG Rabada there at a deep mid wicket, and they go through for a single. India on a massive 474 now for 4. It's a monstrous score here, and Virat Kohli looking incredibly ominous there on 190. What was he on, Robin? Can you remember?
195.
195 he is now. Down the leg side and just switched around to a back square leg. He's batting in his baggy cap, which will receive the approval of Amy Grace, who is very firmly of the opinion that the baggy cap is the single greatest piece of apparel ever created by mankind. But Tasami again bowling this leg stump line and worked away into the onside. Kohli comes through. He goes through to 196. That brings up the 100-run partnership, which I will give you all of the details about in a moment. Although Crick Tracker, as is often their want when you don't pay attention to them, has decided to reset the test match back to 374 for 3, which I think South Africa would possibly take. Worked into the onside by Jadeja. They go through for a single. So the partnership now is 100 runs off 24.4 overs at a run rate of 4 runs an over. Jadeja scored 26 of those, and Kohli scored 100 of them. Scored 74 of them. My apologies. Kohli now on 196, Jadeja on 26.
Kohli now 4 away from 100. I'm sure he can feel the nerves a bit, but it looks like he's just tapping it around, not doing anything rash, trying to get to the 200 before he looks to take the bowlers on.
I somehow managed that he doesn't feel the nerves. Do you? What's the highest score you've scored at?
He looks to take the bowlers on.
Club or above.
My highest is 153.
Oh, there you go. So did you feel? So I'm sure you felt nerves at the 90 something. Did you feel nerves at 145?
I didn't know. I didn't know that I was close. Mm-hmm. But definitely around my 90s, I tend to, and more so around just before my 50. Because I feel like once you've got your 50, you kind of set. You've ticked one box, you can keep going. So yeah, that's just me personally. But I'm sure he's definitely planning on getting that 200, so he's going to make 100% sure that he...
I suspect he's probably planning...
I didn't know that I was close. Mm-hmm. But definitely around my 90s, I tend to, and more so around just before my 50. Because I feel like once you've got your 50, you kind of set. You've ticked one box, you can keep going. So yeah, that's just me personally. But I'm sure he's definitely planning on getting that 200, so he's going to make 100% sure that he...
I suspect he's probably planning on getting his 240.
Mm-hmm. But definitely around my 90s, I tend to, and
I'm sure
more so around
a goal here
just
now.
before my 50.
And he works this one
because
through
I feel
into
like
the
once
onside. He
you've
goes
got your
through to
50, you
109.
kind of set. You've ticked one box, you can keep going. So yeah, that's just me personally. But I'm sure he's definitely planning on getting that 200, so he's going to make 100% sure that he...
I suspect he's probably planning
He's being a
on
lot
getting
more patient
his,
now than
his
he was
243. I'm sure that is a goal here now. And he works this one through into the onside. He goes through to 197. He's being a lot more patient now than he was before the
only a did. Hey.
Jadeja, the left-handed Jadeja now facing the left-handed Maharaj for South Africa. This time they're a bit of a throw in. If it's wickets, I'm not sure. But India just rigged. As the previous run out attempt, some conviction. Kohli in his blue baggy cap, Faf du Plessis in his green baggy cap, Jadeja not keeping up with the team memo. He's wearing his baseball cap. I'm open to things like numbers on backs. I do not think people should wear baseball caps in Test match cricket. There's a level of respect required here. Kohli working it into the onside, and he just walks through for his single. He's toying with these South Africans now. He's loving every single moment of this with the Indian fans clapping every run. 198 after 293 balls.
Simon, just speaking about the baggy cap, from a woman's perspective, it's not the most ideal headwear in terms of long hair. As female players, we don't particularly like we call them pumpkin hats. We don't really like the pumpkins. But I do agree with you that it is all about the tradition and the history of the game, and that it is important to.
And so what you've got to do is reframe, because I know it gives you a kink in the back of your hair. And at school, so all of us who played cricket would get that kink permanently into the back of our hair during cricket season. And we loved the fact that you could tell who were the cricketers even when the cap wasn't on. So maybe that's the attitude you've got to take. Wear that kink with pride. I can tell you right now, there's a bunch of little 12, 13-year-old girls who would go and ask their local hairdresser whether they could iron the kink in.
I suppose as a female with short hair, it's not an issue for me. So yes, I'll look forward to hopefully getting a kink one day.
Do you get baggy caps at the Gauteng level? The pumpkin cap?
We used to now.
Kohli now working this away down to Van Eyck. He turns for two. Heinrich Nokia makes a bit of a mess of the fielding, and Kohli takes the applause for his 297 balls, 28 fours, a strike rate of 4 runs and over. A phenomenal innings. It hasn't been chanceless. South Africa have had opportunities to get him, but for the time being, it has been a seriously good innings by him. And in the same shot, he goes to 7,000 Test career runs. And I'm sure we'll get all the stats about who has gotten there faster than him. I don't think too many people. I know for a while Hashim Amla was neck and neck with him for fastest 2,000, 3,000. But a couple of Pakistanis now moving up the ranks. But I'm pretty sure Kohli will probably be the fastest to 7,000. Worked into the onside and no run. Kohli on 200 of 297. Jadeja 29 of 66. And India a massive 483 for 4. James, where are we? Are you on air with us?
I am here, but I'm struggling with the video feed. I can't get that to work. Seems like the WhatsApp calls are not working. Can you hear me fine?
We can absolutely hear you fine. So if you want to take over ball by ball, I will try and set up a video feed here, maybe through our Skype, and then we'll work with that.
Yeah, we can maybe take it from there. I won't put my video on this side, so.
Perfect. So I'm giving you my video feed, so I'll be able to show all of our various tweets and jingles stuff to you, if you can see that nicely. Robin.
That is perfect. Thank you.
I just wanted to say there seemed to be a bit of chat amongst Faf and 2 or 3 of the senior players. Maybe a bowling change coming up. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I doubt anyone's having any new ideas now. If they have, it's taken them a while to think. But hopefully a bowling change up. James, you just indicate when you're ready to take over ball by ball.
Maharaj. Yeah, sure. I'm ready with just that one from Maharaj, just into the pads, sort of middle and off of Jadeja. The next one is also just outside the off. Somebody plays it down back past the bowl. That's going to go to a very straight mid on, and the man at long on comes around, and they take another single. What a phenomenal innings by Kohli.
His celebration was low key and almost slightly embarrassed. It was like when when you Proteas girls go and you bully some club bowler and you score 100 off 35 balls, like we saw Faye Tunnicliffe doing the other day. It's a similar sort of celebration, isn't it, Robert?
Yeah, I suppose. I think obviously he just came back from the break knowing that he only need 5 runs. So he probably would have expected it of himself to score them. And also I feel like he knows that the job isn't done yet, so he's...
I think it's very much...
Maharaj in to Jadeja.
Keep going.
So he...
Maharaj into Jadeja, and he just turns that round the corner to the man at 45, and they take a single. Maharaj just being milked for the singles and the odd boundary, and it looks like Kohli and Jadeja are having a lot of fun out there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very low-key batting for them at the moment.
I would be having some fun too if I was on 200.
Yeah, it is very much so. This one he plays... This one he plays down the ground as Kohli in the air, one bounce to Tiernas de Bruin at long on, and they take another single. It's all just way too pedestrian for them.
It is indeed. Let me give you some details from the women's game, where after 24 overs, India women are 130 for 2. In fact, that's after 26 overs. They are going along at 5 runs and over, so they are bang on what is required. Poonam Raut is on 26 of Raut is on 26 of 40, and Mithali Raj is on 41 of 50. Ayabonga Kaka has been brought back into the attack with slightly more success. She's just gone for 4 runs, so that brings her economy rate back to 9 for the day. Tumiseka Kune is 29 runs off 5 overs. What is it like facing Tumi? Because she doesn't look, she looks quite innocuous, but so naggingly
Let's check it out. Go to Wix.
Accurate. Yeah, very, very accurate. It's hard to get her off the square, and because she bowls very much to her field, you have to kind of, as a batter, come up with your own game plan in terms of you kind of you wouldn't, because you added into the and definitely a young talent that's going to do a few.
Sort of the same age as you, also came through the ranks at the same time?
Yeah, we played our junior cricket together. We both got capped on the same tour together. One of my friends, definitely. They're really proud of her and where her cricket's going.
Right.
She's very much sort of South African women's Vernon Philander. Off you go, James.
Just second ball of the over, a wide-ish outside the off stump from Mutusami, and he just cut out to the deep cover fielder, and they take another single, so they are progressing, I think now 490 for 4, and that magic number of 500 coming ever closer for India. So they're going to bat on. I mean, what's your take there, guys, about what they're going to be looking at to score before they put South Africa in?
I think our view is that this is not going to be a runs declaration. This is going to be a time declaration. And so I think whatever India happened to be on, with about an hour to 40 minutes worth of play left today.
This one, Mutusami, is short, and Kohli has pulled him away beautifully, and that one has gone to the boundary for 6.
Which I'll play you in a moment. Here we go. This, by the way, Robin, happens to be one of my favourite jingles in guerrilla cricket. It also has actions.
You came out of your hand and into my zone. Now it's up in the stands. It's a 6. It's beautiful and it's mine.
We'll get you dancing along at some point.
That was quite something.
Yeah. So just Mutasami bowling another no ball, and this absolutely criminal. We'll chat a bit about that at the end of this over, perhaps. But Mutasami in again. Kohli just guides him down to the man at 45, Nokia, who and can't feel balls left for it was thrown up in the stands. I could see by Simon's action what was happening.
Yeah, indeed. It just Ravi Nickett hasn't
to work it. He has indeed. So Mutasami has taken the wicket early. He is walking off the field, it looks like. Is he walking off the field slowly? Yes, he is. Very slowly. Waiting. Actually for the replay, just to check, and here's another. Oh, he has had him caught off a no ball. Mutasami. How can you do quarters by a Faf du Plessis, a Mutasami no ball?
That is
incredible.
Absolutely unforgivable.
How?
Oh, I mean, how many no balls has he bowled now?
So he just bowled the previous delivery.
Yeah, offense.
Faf du Plessis standing this.
Play this one.
Caught there off the top edge. Great low down by Faf du. But it doesn't count because and we know that Virat Kohli is his buddy. He got him in the first test, and he should have got him again now. Mutasami's in now to Jadeja, last ball of the over, and he plays this one beautifully on the drive out into the deep cover point area.
Good. Tried to come up and sledge him slightly. Said, mate, if your guy doesn't keep on doesn't keep overstepping, maybe you guys would be 5 or 6 wickets by now. But it is, it's. The fact that it was even the second ball of the over is so frustrating. I think that really makes me angry.
It was, and he's particularly been susceptible to that coming around the wicket, where he's been running in between the umpire and the stumps. Rather inevitable, isn't it?
100% is it's completely unexpected.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no advantage to getting up on the line at all.
And Maharaj in now around the wicket to Kohli. He cuts at that one, goes down into the pitch, and on the bounce it goes to the slip fielder Faf du Plessis as they are taking a shot, looking at Mutasami. He must be thinking, what on earth was he doing?
Yeah,
my goodness. Test cricket, you work hard for every wicket. Maharaj in to Kohli. This one he whips. Through the leg side to the man at deep square, and there is a single.
So in all of that,
503 for 4 India.
So in all of that drama, the 500 did come up for India. Kohli is there on the. So India really making absolute. It was 11. We've got before they start. for the declaration. I would think Kohli probably looking at a 250.
Yeah, I think that's quite possible. That's this one from Maharaj is played by Jadeja down to a deep long on, and they take another single, 504 for 4, and 250 certainly on the cards here for Virat Kohli. With as you say, Simon, probably another. Yeah, I mean he's going to really go for it now. One would think if he wants to get there, another half an hour to maybe 40 minutes. And he does go for it. This one is up in the air on the offside, but it's going to bounce short of the man running in from deep cover point. That Aiden Marker is no run up there to Kohli, 500 for 46.4 overs. Keshav Maharaj's figures looking even sicker.
Interesting point here. What if he had declared on his wicket and had it ruled no ball? Can you retract a declaration, I wonder?
That is a very good question.
Yeah. See, this is...
It is a very good question. Not. Yeah, that is a very good question. I haven't heard one would. I think he would be given not out as long as it was done before they walked off the field. One sense they would have reviewed it anyway. So,
well, no. My question
this
is
one from Maharaj just outside the off stump.
He would definitely be given not out because they would have reviewed it. But
they come back for
that situation. You cut it into his hands. You go, oh, the hell with it, we're done, and you declare and you start walking off.
Yeah.
Then you see the umpires review it because they need to know whether you're not out or whether you're out at the end of the innings. Are you able to go back to the umpires and say, hold on, we withdraw that declaration? It's a fascinating.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I also doubt it. I feel like once you've made the decision, you should probably stick to it.
It's done. I've never ever heard of the situation, but certainly, I mean, this is exactly when that sort of thing could happen. I mean, there's every chance that they're staying on on the field now, specifically for Virat Kohli to get to his 243. Just interestingly, 3 players have got to 7,000 test match runs in 138 innings. They are Virat Kohli, Sangakkara, and Gary Sobers. So he's in very, very good company there. North of him, I'm trying to remember who it was. I think Bradman was up there. I think Tendulkar was up there as well as guys who had got there faster than Virat Kohli. Well, they're bringing on Aiden Markram, mostly I think because Aiden had a bit of a giggle with Virat earlier, and maybe he can tickle him out.
Yeah. Maybe, as it's Markram to Jadeja, and this one shortish and is pulled 1-2 bounces into the deep mid-wicket boundary for 4.
The number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
Kohli just putting the part-time in his place there.
Just pull down short, and you're not going to get 2 of those.
Or maybe you are.
It was Jadeja, yeah.
Maybe not.
One. Yep, there we go. 2 in a row.
But he gets another one. It is not a half tracker, but it is going not really going away or any turn from Markram. It's pulled away again to the same boundary for 4 runs.
Seems to us that it's in 4.
Really good, solid shot. Sorry, I'm forgetting to show you the jingle sign there. It really 2 identical shots, 2 absolute gimmies by Markram. He bowls another one.
Another half tracker. This one outside the off stump this time, and being cut away to the deep cover point or deep cover boundary, but Maharaj, who marathon spell it, and he runs around, picks up and throws it in as Jadeja moves to 49. So I thought that perhaps they brought Markram on because Jadeja was probably the closest to a palindromic name in the Indian team.
Sheesh! I think you're overthinking it somewhat. I think they brought Markram on because they've run out of ideas, James.
Bringing someone onto bowl.
Yeah, they have certainly run out of ideas.
Who doesn't usually bowl.
This is going to be his 50. Sorry.
No.
Sorry, carry on, Robin.
Bringing somebody on who obviously doesn't usually bowl is a bit unsettling for the batsman, because you haven't really prepared for it, and it can go one or two ways. It can go like it's currently going, where you can get smashed, or as a batter you almost relax, because you don't expect.
And there's also that mental thing, isn't there? That you don't want to be the one who gets out with the 12-year-old, you know? Yeah,
it's exactly that. You either want to tonk this part-timer as far as you possibly can and end up making a mistake, or you then are extra cautious and poke around and then tend to make the mistake.
Ravindra Jadeja, his 50 on 52 off 80 balls, 5 fours, a strike rate of 4 runs per over. And the last 10 overs now have produced 57 runs for India. A quick look across at what is going on in Vadodara, where India are progressing very, very nicely, going along at exactly the run rate required, about 5 runs and over. 141 for 2 at the moment. Poonam Raut is on 31 of 51. Mitali Raj is on 45 of 55. The two bowlers operating at the moment, Nontamisa Shangase, she's bowled just shy of 5 overs for 24 runs. And Tumiseka Kune has been quite expensive for Tumi, actually. 0 for 33 off 6 overs. The end of the over here in Pune, 148 overs gone, 519 runs scored for just 4 wickets. The two batters in, Kohli on 211 and Jadeja 52. What would you do as a batting side here, James?
I think you're gonna rub it in here and probably do take the extra, just another half an hour of batting. You get yourself to maybe 560, 570. South Africa already probably out of the game completely, and you put them in for the last hour. They look very tired. The opening batters, you keep them guessing as to when you're going to go off, and judging by Anrich Nortje's face, he certainly is due for a sleep there. He's just yawning massively in the picture. But keep them on the field and keep them guessing. An hour at the South Africans tonight, or maybe an hour and a half, would work. And you don't take the drinks break, so you're actually not losing time.
Yeah, I completely agree. So our Twitter came alive with that wicket that wasn't a wicket. Durban Oak saying that's 2 wickets not taken due to no balls by spinners. They should have their nuts removed in the most painful way possible. Shameful. Inclined to agree, Durban Oak. You'll get used to our Twitter feed after a while, Robin, I'm afraid.
As Muthusamy is lofted over his head and by Jadeja, and that one has gone to the boundary for 4. A lovely shot from Jadeja, just putting his foot down the wicket, staying in his crease and striking through the ball. That's a glorious shot. You won't see much better than that. And Muthusamy again wide outside the off stump, and this one not good footwork from Jadeja. Sorry, jingles.
Paper out, pencils raised. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4.
Muthusamy in again, and this one he drives over the cover field. It pitches like a 9-iron on the outfield. It's gone up and over, and De Bruyn comes round from mid-off and fields, and they take another 2. They only take a single on that one. It looks like 524 for 4 in the 149th over. And Jadeja just having a little bit of fun here. It looks like they thought that was going to the boundary, and then it just pitched on the outfield and didn't go any further. In fact, they do take 2 for that one, do they? No, actually they did only take a single. So Kohli's on strike, 211. He has the run rate for this session so far in just over half an hour, 6.8 runs per over. Shades of the second innings in Vijay there, Simon and Robin.
Yeah, I completely agree. This match has gone almost identically in format to that first test.
This one from Muthusamy is just played out by Kohli to the man at mid-on. They take a single. And Robin,
I was
come in.
going to mention that as South Africans, we've kind of done this to ourselves. We haven't taken our opportunities.
Absolutely.
And it's been quite disappointing. Really.
Yeah, it felt in the first test that we were steamrolled by a really, really good performance, Whereas this test, it really feels like we've looked tired, we've looked disinterested. and then when the opportunities have come, we haven't taken them. It's been a real problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Mutasami again outside the off stump to Jadeja.
Yeah, keep going.
And they just that one just tickle down to the man at backward square. That's a single backward point, a single.
Any professional sportsman will say that they'll happily lose to the.
And Simon, you're going to talk up the 150 partnership between these two.
Yeah. Are you guys hearing each other?
Vaguely.
Okay, let me turn up your cam. Yeah, I will talk about the 150 partnership in a moment.
This one. Oh my goodness, not another one. So Mutasami outside the off stump, turning away from Coley. He goes for a full ball for the shot, and it goes between de Kock and Duplessis at the slip, and goes down to the boundary for 4.
The 150 partnership came up quite a while ago. They are now on 154 runs off 31.4 overs, a run rate of 4.8. Jadeja 58 of those, and Coley 94. And these last 10 overs, 65 runs have been scored. And Mutasami cannot buy a wicket at the moment. And when he does get a wicket, he gives it back to the umpire.
Faf hasn't had the best day in the slips either.
Well, no, he really hasn't, has he?
At all.
Yeah, and he's generally quite a good slip fielder. Who in the women's game have reputations as good slip fielders? It's a reasonably unusual position for the women's game.
Danae van Niekerk often stands, and she's got very good hands. Sune Lus, and then at the moment when Lazal's not keeping, obviously being the backup keeper, she's used to standing behind the stumps. So those are usually the 3 go-tos, if I could say that. Yeah.
Is Lizelle as scary in a general social situation as she is on the field?
Not even one little bit. She is a typical burki, if I can call her that. She's a very simple being. She's lovely. What you see is what you get.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think her batting kind of matches her personality. She does what she's good at, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and she does it again.
Because we were at Maritzburg Oval that day where there was a run-out confusion between Tasman Brits and Lizelle, where Lizelle sledged her own teammate for about 30 meters as she walked off the field. Jonathan, you take it away.
Yeah, so that one is a massive 6 from Jadeja as Maharaj, he's coming down the wicket to Maharaj and just absolutely murders him over the deepish mid-on.
I believe in miracles. Since you came to bat, you're 60 thing, you. I believe in miracles. Since you came out to bat, you're 60 thing.
The next one played out to the man at deep square leg, and they take a single. But this is looking like the first team versus the under-13s, isn't it? Looking at the moment, it looks like men against boys. Really is. And these two batters are having just the time of their lives out there. And please don't play that song from Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, no chance. Yeah, it's a curious experience, isn't it? And a very, very humbling one for the South Africans, because we've seen AB de Villiers do this to other teams before. He does it again.
My word, that is just the most beautiful shot from Virat Kohli, inside out with the spin over deep extra cover for 6.
When I get this feeling, again, 6 you will heal him. Oh, there she goes. Lovely.
So Robin is about to get all of our 6 jingles in the space of about 3 overs.
About to comment on the jingles. They are quite something.
They're an acquired taste, I think, is the general opinion of our listeners.
Who comes up with them?
I'll tell you in a moment. So basically how it works is we've got a number of jinglers around the world. James, you just jump in.
Yes, as this one is played through past the man at deepish mid-on, and that's gone to the boundary for 4.
In fact, yes, I've got 4. 1, 2, 3.
So we have a number of jinglers around the world. A lot of the ones you've heard today are by a guy called Jeff Perkins, who is an Australian or an Englishman. Is that another 4? Or am I
it is indeed
losing
another
track?
4. It's not a repeat.
Yeah, I'm not playing any more jingles for it.
21. Oh no, don't worry. 21 off the over from Maharaj. He is approaching his double century as well. 1 for 188 in 49 overs, and India have gone to their 550 in next to no time of 150 overs. So batting at shade over 3 and 2/3 runs on over in this innings. It has really been carnage since the tea break, and it's a masterclass in batting, isn't it, Robin?
Yeah, the session run rate has actually gone up to 8.67, and that's phenomenal. It's as if there's nobody else on the field, nobody attempting to stop the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to note that the men's team on the second day of a test match are scoring at 3 runs and over faster than the women's team are during a 5 run and over chase in an ODI at the same time. So it is absolute carnage. I mean, Maharaj now, I'm sure, pretty much hit out of the attack. There's no ways they're going to bring him back on. They are going to bring Mutasami on now.
They keep him on, yes. And just as he comes into bowl now, let's just watch this one. This one short outside the off stump to Jadeja, and he carves him through the covers. And that's going to be another 4. You're not going to play a jingle for that one as well, Simon?
Yeah, I suppose I might at some point. I'll play one of the short ones.
All right, go for it.
Yeah, it's absolute carnage here. So Kohli now just a few runs short of his highest ever test score. I suspect that what we're going to do here is get Kohli to his 250.
Yeah.
We are currently on 555 for 4.
That's right.
Do we even bother doing anything with our feet at 555 for 4? Especially considering we were at 444 for 4 at one point.
We were, so yeah, 555. I mean, it's the only chance I might ever have of commentating on a Hollywood telephone number. 555 for 4, yeah. It's 555. So it's gone to 556 for 4 now, second ball of the 151st over. And the last 20 balls, they're saying here, have gone for 50 runs. By the way, Mutasami in that previous over with that ball, the one that was cut past Faf du Plessis' hand, was another no ball which wasn't called by the umpire, by the way. So if he had caught it, it wouldn't have counted either.
Oh my word, he would have been tarred and feathered.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think he's already close to that happening. And because he has just been woeful in terms of that aspect to it. But what you have to ask is, why is Nigel Long just not picking up the no balls from Mutasami? He really hasn't, didn't pick up the wicket no ball. I know he picked up the one ball before, but umpires seem to have stopped calling no balls. We'll get some view on that after this over, as this one is lofted over straight mid-on, and that's another 6.
Yeah, so I'm going to work my way all the way through the 6 jingles so that Robin can experience all of them. And we'll leave the one that is Impor's absolute favourite for last.
Yeah, we will do. Okay,
have you noticed? I'm confident we'll get there.
You will get through all of them, yeah. There's only about 6 or 7 of them, I think, on the right-hand side of the jingle palette. But sorry, I do apologise to Nigel Long. It's actually Chris Gaffney who's making the gaffes on the no balls.
Yeah,
at this stage. So 563 for 4. As much as 82 of his 16 overs.
I do object when an umpire doesn't call them all off. Afternoon, and then they check on the TV and you get called for a no ball, because that part of calling a no ball is to warn the men, whereas Mutasami doesn't have that excuse because he had been called the ball before. Two in a row, unspeakable.
Ball there from Mutasami, stump balling around the slow left armour to the lead batsman as you can see that the Indian television crew are now focusing on the South African opening batters, saying, do they know when they're going to bat? So this one played outside cover here, Simon and Robin. It looks like that. They've given it. They're just waiting for the declaration.
Completely agree with you. And it's a tough thing, isn't it, Rob?
As they're hoping that this can end as quickly as possible, and so that they can focus on the next bit of the game that they can control, because at the moment they are clearly not in control of the happenings that are going on.
I completely agree. Dakul Pandey sending in some really, really good tweets. His hashtag StatWatch, which is well worth following, says when Kohli went to his 200, it took him past 7,000 test runs, which we didn't notice at the time. Joint fourth fastest to that mark, third fastest Indian in 138 innings. It was behind Wally Hammond in 131 innings, Sehwag 134, Tendulkar 136, and level on 138 with Sobers and Sangakkara.
Absolute class.
As this one from Maharaj cut out to deep cover, deep point, and Nokia does the fielding. There's one run there, 565 for 4, and Kohli 231, and so that magical number for him, 243, Simon.
Yes.
So what's he on now? Did you say 232?
231. 231.
Yeah. So
231. He's facing now. Just played out into the offside, and there is no run.
Tim the Cricket Guy saying, hi everyone, just saying I have really enjoyed your broadcast today. Not easy to do when we are taking a proper pelting. Also loving your guest Robin today. She's not a guest, she's one of our commentators now. Hope she can find some more time to commentate with you again in her busy schedule. So do we, Tim.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Yeah.
So we haven't told Robin about the rider to this all as well. So we have a last man stands team which plays in the Winter League, and you only get to play if you've been behind the mic as a proper commentator. So guess what your obligations are in May?
I'll see if I'm free.
We've always had a bit of a giggle that the better the players behind the mic, the less keen they seem to be to play with our last man stands. The guys who've barely played a game in 30 years, we can't keep them away from the field.
Keshav Maharaj, it's... We're just seeing a bit of an injury here to Keshav Maharaj, and his right arm, so not his bowling arm, but his leading arm, and he dived to try and stop that one from Kohli, which went down to deep long on for a single, and they're just taking a bit of a break while he has some treatment, so it gives us a chance to have a bit more of a discussion around this. So Robin, I was interested to see that this current women's tour of India is actually only the second time the women have toured India in having played 22 years or 23 years of cricket, but it's only the second ODI tour to India.
Yeah, no, I think it's great that it's finally happened, and I hope that there'll be more in the future. It's very important for our girls to play on subcontinent conditions, and as you can see, we're quite inexperienced with dealing with them or playing on them effectively. So I hope that there'll be more to us in the future, and also with India being the home of cricket as opposed second to England. It's so great for the game, and a lot of the women's cricket fan base comes from India. So I think it's great. Great that they're getting a bit of exposure there, live exposure.
Yeah, I think it's been great, and I think having it at Surat, I wasn't wild about having all 5 T20s. In fact, it ended up being 6 T20s at one venue. Especially because we got into
this one by Jadeja. He just played into the right-hander. That is obviously down to the third man region and takes 2. So he is getting very close to his second highest score, which is 235. And he faces Muthuswamy and Maharaj now. On that one, he plays out to cover and takes a quick single. He'll keep the strike at the end of the 152nd over. And it's India 572 for 4. He's looking particularly tired, Virat Kohli. 235 off 320 balls, but he only needs another 9 runs and then he can declare. Can't he, Simon?
He's now got the problem that Jadeja is in the 80s.
I was just going to bring that up.
That's right.
So I think he's pretty much going to say to Ravindra that he's got to make 19 runs. Cody's got to do what he does to get going. 235 off 320. Cricketing reason at all to carry on batting here, other than sometimes the nice round total of 600. We said an hour. We predicted at the beginning of the day. We probably were even doing it yesterday, saying the declaration would come an hour before close. So we are now at about 15 minutes to go before that point. And I would say that we're going to find both of them getting to their landmarks around about that time as well. So clearly they are working hard at it. This session run rate at 9 and over. I don't think I've ever seen a run rate like that in a test session.
It's madness.
Except for the one in Vizag in the second inning.
Well,
so this is twice. Yeah, lightning has struck twice here. Definitely. I mean, the Indians just taking us apart.
Robin, what's the longest
so
form
it's going
game?
to be Mutusami again.
Your ball
defended the offside by Virat. Sorry.
Your ball takes precedence. So you just talk over me, please, James. Robin, what's
okay, we'll do it. No, it's fine. You carry on.
What's the longest form cricket you've been able to play?
In my last 2 years of under 19s, we played time cricket.
Okay.
So yeah, I think.
So single daytime cricket.
Single daytime cricket. But other than that, no.
Yeah, so generally 50 overs is the benchmark.
Only the four top women's teams are playing Test cricket.
Yeah.
So obviously that's something we as a South African team are aiming for in the future. But yeah, hopefully the game will grow enough that we can play enough to compete, and so that it's not just the top 4 teams. Yeah.
Indeed. So we've
this one just. Played out into the offside to the sweeper on the cover boundary by Kohli, and they take another single. And Robin, just out of interest, I mean, is it the sort of step up from playing? I know the CSA week is like 5 days. If you do, in fact, every team plays literally 5 days of 50 over. Matches, as this one's just bunted down to a deep mid off where it is fielded by De Bruyne, and Jadeja takes another single. So just on the CSA week, that is a very hectic week. I mean, it is 5 days of 100 overs every single day. I mean, what's it like playing in that? I mean, that's very much like a 5-day test.
Pretty much, yeah. A lot of prep goes into that week. We pretty much the whole season leads up to that week. I was chatting to Simon earlier. They've actually done away with it now. We playing home and away fixtures.
Oh, okay.
Which is in my opinion, a lot more beneficial. A lot of the girls, because we're not used to playing for that amount of time, a lot of the girls were getting injured during that week, and just the hours on your feet is not exactly ideal.
Yeah, I mean it is in excess of CSA's recommended bowling hours for young adults. I can't remember what the exact hours were, but even even with Amy as a 12-year-old, we received it's a table from CSA showing the number of overs that should be bowled at each age. In fact, it wasn't received to us by CSA. It was sent to us by the club coach, who obviously had access to it. Robin, how are you doing for time? Are you able to stay for the 200?
I think I'd like to.
The 250 rather, the declaration. Yes,
250. That's great.
I am a Kohli fan, so
so
I'll happily watch him bat.
That is interesting, Simon, because in terms of the long-term athlete development program, which was put in place by the ECB a number of years ago. In fact, it was part of my coaching course when I did the coaching course almost 10 years ago now. And that certainly does have a restriction on the number of overs that a youngster should be bowling in a week. And the whole thing is to really try and prevent injury. So, Robin, it certainly is a concern. I mean, I watched virtually the whole week on the Pitch Vision earlier this year, was it? Yes, it was earlier this year.
It was in
and
March.
certainly noted that the ladies were looking particularly tired towards the end of the week. And certainly those that have spent a lot of time on the field batting for a period of time, and there were some senior players there in that week. It was a very difficult week, and particularly I would think not even for the senior players, the ones who are not used to playing every day for 5 days. A very intense week.
Yeah, it's not that we're not capable. I mean, I would love to play Test cricket. I think it would suit my game perfectly, and I think Test cricket is obviously the ultimate test, as all cricketing people should think. But it's not something you prepare for. So, as a result,
You have to play cricket part. Who are the others you know like long for?
I think Chetty would do very well in the longer format. She has a very strong technique, and I think technique is obviously required in Test cricket more so, because and also you've got to have a really strong mindset. Marizon Cup would be brilliant. She's mentally one of the strongest players. And then just in terms of fast bowling, Shubham is
Sorry, just going to stop you there for a moment. Jadeja slapping this back down the ground over the head of Dean Elgar, who's come on to bowl a couple of overs here, and that takes Jadeja through to 86. Sorry, so you said Marizon Cup mostly because of mindset.
She's mentally very, very strong, and I think that's why she's been so successful.
When you play with those mentally very strong players, are they intimidating to be in the dressing room with?
Personally, no. I personally try and learn from them. As we speak about all the time, the mental aspect is a big part of the game, especially as batters. And I try and get as much information on that side of things as I can. So I wouldn't say intimidating. I think encouraging more so.
This just Cody rocking off the back foot and playing it. They go through for a couple. No, sorry, it wasn't Kohli. It was, of course, the left-handed Jadeja. So Kohli is on 240 runs now, so 3 short of his highest ever score. And India have now scored 100 runs in the last 9.5 overs. A bit of an appeal here. Dean Elgar, I think, in sheer optimism.
Yeah.
Kohli laughing.
Outside the off stump.
Yeah, go for appeal against Kohli outside the off stump.
Yeah, and Kohli trying to run it down to third man. He misses it completely. He laughs at the batter and at the bowler, and it is given through as a dot ball.
Kohli seems to be taking this innings as a bit of a joke.
That's 2 dot balls in a row from Dean Elgar, and we're getting to the end of the 154th over. 583 for 4. Kohli 240, just 4 runs away from his highest ever score. Elgar's into him now, and he dinks it down to the man at 45 on the offside, shortish third man, and they go through for a single. He's on 241. And he will face the first ball of the next over. If there's one thing that he can do, he can count to 6. That's for sure.
The pressure's going to be on Jadeja here because I mean, how much of a cold-hearted captain is Kohli? I mean, does he get to his own 250 and leave his man on 93? That would be. I think that would probably be frowned upon if you declared after your own.
I think so.
But I mean, it has been. The masterclass is the wrong word here. It's been an absolute bullying by the Indians this last hour or so.
It has. Oh, what a glorious shot from Kohli. That one goes straight down the ground, but De Bruyn is quite straight at that deep long on position, and they take a single and Kohli moves to 242, but it'll be Jadeja on strike. One senses he's going to go big this over. Jadeja, realizing his captain is close by.
Yeah, I think so. And I also think that Mutasamy at the very other end of the cricket firmament at the moment, I don't think there is enough he could do in the second innings to get picked for the third test, I'm afraid.
I don't think so either. I think you're right. Unless he scores a double 100, he's not going to be picked for the next test match. And this one by Jadeja is just played out to deep point, and he takes another single. He's 12 away from his second test match 100. Kohli 2 runs away from his highest ever test score. He's on 242. And I just need to go and close the door because you're hearing the vacuum in the background. Hold on a second.
Fair enough. I mean, arguably, he's been the most successful of the South African batsmen because he's scored 80-odd runs without yet being dismissed in Test cricket. So maybe a big score is on the cards for Mutasamy. Who knows? But that's not why he's in the team. He's definitely in to be tweaking. Do you bowl at provincial level, or are you very much a batsman?
I'm trying to convince my captain that I could be a potential option, but not usually. No.
You bowl leg breaks, eh?
Leg pies, yes.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
My goodness.
That was one of the previous.
Yeah, no, didn't
shots,
hit it, but that. The ball spun. The ball actually dipped, turned, and. Yes, Kohli beaten outside the off stump from Mutasamy. As this one, he plays forcefully through the leg side. It's gone to the boundary for 4. That's his highest test score, 246 not out of 331 balls. Take a bow, Virat Kohli.
There's not one boy for me, I must have.
He's a very happy man there, isn't he? Simon and Robin, he looks very happy with himself, very content, and nearly getting to that 250. Will he leave Jadeja stranded?
Not that far off, stepping on his own stumps. Wouldn't that have been a way to go? I managed to get myself out hit wicket during our last man stands season. I felt like a proper nitwit. I did challenge the square leg umpire in the vague hope that maybe I could cast doubt in his mind that I'd already completed my shot and therefore the ball was dead. He was having none of it. I mean, I knew I was in the wrong as well, but I thought it was worth a question.
That is literally the worst way to go out.
Yeah. How have you felt about the standard of umpiring in the women's game? I know you tend to get sort of young up-and-coming umpires. Has it generally been okay?
There are moments where it's not great, but I think in general it's getting there. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, like you said,
dinked into the offside by the left-handed Jadeja. They scamper through for a single. That takes Jadeja through to 89 and Kohli through to 247. I think they'll let Jadeja get to his 100 here. Sorry, carry on.
Unfortunately, like you said, we do get the second stream umpires, so they're not the best. And every now and then there's a dodgy call that's being made that is very frustrating. But I suppose it's the only way that those umpires are going to grow in the women's game, with it maybe not being as competitive as it could be. However, not really, but it is a good place for them to start, so I understand that it's part of their process.
I know, James, you were quite critical of the level of umpiring in that tournament week that you watched, eh?
Yes, it was. I mean, I must say, a number of decisions which were really poor, and we're talking, where the ball probably pitched at least a foot outside the leg stump, and the batter was given out LBW in the CSA week, and in certain critical situations, and when it happens to one of your senior players, I think very difficult for them. I mean, to their credit, there was very little dissent. The one instance which was quite clearly a massive inside edge onto the pad was that the batter just sort of stood there for a little while and then went off the pitch. As this one from Elgar is flat batted out to Duplessis, who is at a long on to Jadeja, and they come through for a single. I think from just as you say, Robin, they're learning. It is a process, difficult perhaps to get young umpires into the game, but really certain decisions or certain things that are absolutely sacrosanct should not be difficult to make those decisions, as this one from Coley is. Coley just plays it down for a single.
Robert, we've got a tweet in from Otto, who is one of our commentators. I made a comment earlier about how I always think it's ridiculous if a bowler fields off his or her own bowling and then throws the ball into the covers instead of just carrying the ball back to your mark.
Yeah.
Otto said that he's read that but teams will particularly keep the ball away from people whose hands sweat a lot. Do you guys have dedicated ball handlers in Gauteng and in Proteas?
I wouldn't say that they have the title ball handler.
Ball wrangler.
Yeah, let's just reword that. Anyway, but usually whoever's standing at mid-on and mid-off is in charge of shining the ball and checking that it's in a good condition.
Okay, and you don't specifically... Do you ever keep it away from someone that you know has sweaty hands?
This is a great shot from Coley.
And it does...
So
in fact, let's...
150.
Yeah, bring it up. Come on, Robert.
Yeah. It's 254 Virat Kohli. 252 of 334 balls.
And it also brings up India's 600. The last 10 overs have gone for 98. The 253 of 335 balls. He immediately unleashes out through the offside as well. That'll take him through to 253. So 253 of 335 balls, 33 fours, 2 sixes. He has scored at 4.5 runs and over through this innings. It has been an absolutely astonishing innings, and at that point we're going to have to say cheers to Robin as well. Robin, it has been such a pleasure having you here. Please do come back and come and do more commentary with us. Hopefully we'll have one of the women's games on for you where you can do ball by ball and really enjoy talking about your colleagues. I'm sure they'll be thrilled to hear your opinions. But good luck. Who are you playing down in Poch?
Northwest.
Okay,
Northwest
fantastic. Right, good luck for that. We'll be following that. Is that game tomorrow?
Great.
Yes, we play an ODI tomorrow and then T20 on Sunday.
Brilliant. We'll follow that with great enthusiasm on Cricinfo.
Wonderful.
Lovely having you part of the Guerrilla Cricket's South Africa Pantheon. And please tell all your colleagues so that they will listen into it. That is Robin Searle now going to be disappearing off. I think we're actually on a drinks break at the moment. Unless they've sneakily declared while we were...
I think they are.
On a drinks break or declared?
I mean, I don't know. I think they must be on a drinks break. Jadeja has still there 91, so I'm sure it's a drinks break. And yes, if I can just say good luck to Robin for the matches over the weekend, and really great to commentate with you. And hopefully we can do it in person next time.
Yeah, she's what an absolute pleasure she's been to have her on air. Yeah. She's just a lovely person, a real servant to the game as well. I mentioned the first time I met her, she was captaining a B side for her local club. So really playing with a bunch of 14, 15-year-olds. But being and not really playing an overt role in the game. She didn't bat that day. She barely bowled. When my daughter was run out slightly unfairly, she immediately withdrew the appeal. So she understands the spirit of the game. She understands the role that she has to play as a senior woman player as well. And to have her come and try her hand here at commentary is fantastic. I thought she did very, very well, and we look forward to having her.
She did.
So, further bad news for South Africa, that Keshav Maharaj has been brought out of the match as a precautionary measure. He's got to go for scans to look at that right shoulder that he injured diving across.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so it is just a dreadful period for South Africa here. I don't recall a day of cricket where it seems to have gone so... certainly that we've commentated on. That it's gone so ominously wrong for South Africa. I think that period when Sangakkara and who was it put on 650 against us?
Mahela Jayawardene in Colombo put on 624 against us in that test match. Was probably would go down as probably one of the worst days of South African cricket. But this must come very close to it. They just have looked devoid of any ideas. Where they have had chances, they've shot themselves in the foot, as it were. We had Mutusami getting a wicket off a no ball for a spinner, and he's bowled a significant number of no balls, and that's just an absolute no-no at any level of the game. One can't condone it, and that's a schoolboy error. And the captain, I think there's been a lot of talk, Simon, around the fact that the sort of the attitude or the talk coming out of the South African dressing room after this first Test defeat, and also through the World Cup. I mean, I know Graham Smith, which you would expect, was particularly vocal earlier on today around the whole attitude about, we're learning, we're really in a learning curve, we've got a young team, and really his point was that they were already making excuses around their performance. The World Cup, we're going to have fun, it's and that, this is the World Test Championship now. It's not like it's just a series where you're taking along youngsters to learn how to play the game in India. This is not an SAA tour. This is a Test match. It's a Test match series, and this has been a concern. A number of commentators, as Mutusami's in again to Kohli, and he plays this one into the covers. He's going to take a single, which is the right thing to do. Give Jadeja the strike. They can get to the declaration once he gets to his 100. One sense that as about me, and did that well in the first innings in the first Test.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a young team for a start.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, it really, really isn't. There's every team is going to have one or two guys at the beginning of their career in it. But if you have a look through our lineup, I mean, Aidan Markram's been around for years, Dean Elgar's been around for years, Terence de Bruyn has played a good couple of seasons, Faf, obviously, Temba, obviously, Quinton, obviously, Vernon, obviously. It's really only Senna and Heinrich Melchior who are a little bit, green behind the ears. Yeah.
As Mutusami takes his second wicket in Test cricket, and that is Ravindra Jadeja holding out, going for his 100, and Terence de Bruyn takes the catch at a deep mid-off, and they are now declaring, as we thought, Simon, they're declaring on 601 for 5, Jadeja not having reached his 100. And there will be now the 10-minute change in innings. I see they're not checking for the no ball, so presumably that was okay. This one coming around the wicket to Jadeja, he just doesn't quite get hold of it. Goes up in the air. He must be very disappointed. Only his would have been his second Test century, and they're going off the field. And Virat Kohli, his first 250 in Test cricket, his highest ever score, and higher than the highest score that Sachin Tendulkar managed to achieve in his Test career. So an incredible innings from the Indian captain, who was given a couple of one let off particularly, but one remembers that drop catch by Maharaj when he had 4 yesterday off his own bowling, and that certainly now has got a significant impact on this match. 250 runs later, the captain is still unbeaten, and 601 for 5. So, a huge lesson for South Africa. They were going there to learn.
Let me take you through the scorecard, and then we'll have a 10-minute break. Agarwal caught Du Plessis bowled Rabada for 108. Sharma caught de Kock bowled Rabada for 14. Pujara caught Du Plessis bowled Rabada for 58. All of those wickets falling yesterday. Rahane caught de Kock bowled Maharaj for 59. And then Jadeja came in. He was caught de Bruyn eventually by Mutusami for 91 runs. He faced 104 balls, went on at almost a run a ball, 8 fours and 2 sixes. But the hero of the hour, Virat Kohli, 254 runs off 336 balls. You cannot give this man 3 to 4 chances through the course of an innings. He is going to score big runs, and he did indeed. 33 fours, 2 sixes, a strike rate north of 4.5 runs and over, and India declare on 601 for 5. They scored that entire total at 3.8 runs and over, and the last 10 overs at 97 runs came from them. Across in Vadodara, the Indian women are not cruising to victory, but they are managing their chase very, very well. 195 for 2 at the moment. Mitali Raj is on 66. Punam Raut is on 64. And things certainly looking like they're going India's way in both of these matches. We are going to play a 10-minute interview, and we will be back in about 10 minutes after the change of play with the South African innings as they start their, I don't even know what you call it, really. It's not a chase, that's for sure, of this massive total of 601. We'll be back in about 10 minutes.
They grind.
Well, I'm joined on the line by Jeff Lemon, who many of you will know is one of the guys behind White Line Wireless. He's also a broadcaster with ABC, and he's recently put out his most recent book, Steve Smith's Men, Behind Australia's Cricket Fall, which is published by Hardy Grant. Jeff, thank you very much for joining us here on Guerrilla Cricket South Africa.
Lovely to be here, Simon. Thanks for the invitation.
So the book is really an exploration of the personalities and the people behind the Australian team and this whole issue with the ball tampering in Newlands earlier this year, and obviously focusing, I think, quite strongly on Steve Smith and on Dave Warner themselves. Let's just jump straight into Dave. You handled him quite sympathetically. He's a more complex character, maybe, than the rest of us give him credit for.
Yeah, I think he's a polarising sort of character. Some people will defend him immediately and say he's a lovely bloke and all the rest of it, and most others will jump on top of him and say that he's the worst person ever in cricket and all the rest of it. Obviously when you're dealing with those kind of extremes, mostly neither of them are true, and that's the case in this case as well, I think. So I'm not necessarily a defender of his, but I think that he is complicated. He's a complicated person. There are different warring parts of David Warner's personality, and there are parts of him that desperately want to be good and to contribute and to be part of something better and bigger, and there are parts of his personality that are destructive. Some of that is his fault, but some of it has been encouraged by people around him and by people within Cricket Australia who like the effect that those destructive parts of his character can have. So there is a degree to which it's not necessarily as easy as just saying it's all David Warner's fault, because the story is much more complex than that, I think.
Do you think it's the sort of thing that maybe if he had been in the Steve Waugh era or Alan Border era, he might have been better handled, sort of being a little bit further down the run?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he would have been whacked back into line pretty quickly. The key thing with Dave Warner is that when he initially comes into the team, it's under Michael Clarke, and he's not just given courage to be on the field. That can be in Lehman's era as well. And then when Steve Smith takes over, all of the senior experience is stripped out of that Australian team within a couple of months. They lose 6 frontline senior players in 2015 within about 3 months. So Smith and Warner are suddenly the most experienced players in the team. They're literally the only batsmen in the team who are guaranteed of their spots. And so it becomes their team by default. And Smith isn't a particular really strong personality, Warner is. So suddenly, Warner has a whole lot of sway within this team, which
He hasn't at that level.
something that that's true, but as well. So it's not just about at what level you're going all the way down the people who an extension does exist.
Yeah,
what's the issue? Because this idea that it's just a game that will never go away but is still something that gets developed because younger players mimic what they see from older players. So there is a responsibility from older players, and I think for too long there's just been an acceptance that this is somehow a reasonable way to go about things, or that objecting to it would make you seem weak, therefore you don't bother objecting to it even if you don't necessarily do it yourself. So there is a responsibility there, and that responsibility has been abrogated, I think, by a lot of people within cricket for a long time.
Australian cricket's in a very complicated place at the moment now, because obviously they're still dealing with the cultural fallout of what happened.
doesn't have a lot of time to decide. Is that when I'm going to leave, or is that when I have to play?
So let's. What we're going to do now, we are going to leave the test match for about, I suppose, 15 minutes. South Africa are 18 for 2. We will continue to bring you the updates there, but we will, and so Ken will do ball by ball. James, if you can find it on your side, it's on. Well,
sure.
you can find it yourself. It's on 210.
Supersport 10, yeah?
Yeah. So we're going to move across to that as Temba Bavuma plays this one into the onside door of Indian cricket.
And that's pushed out to extra cover, and she really has taken India to the brink now. Just 14 runs needed off the last 4 overs. 205 is the score after 46 overs. And obviously for the Proteas, critical that they get Harmanpreet out, preferably in the next over or so.
Yeah, we had an interesting situation earlier where Kaka was bowling to I can't remember who she was bowling to, but Trish Chetty was standing up to her, and she bowled somewhere in the region of 15 runs worth of wides past Trisha Chetty. Obviously leg side wides. She didn't bowl 15 wides, but she bowled wides that went down to the boundary. And so if you have a look at the extras here, 29 extras. The last time I saw that number of extras in ODI was in that dreadful period just after readmission. Remember those, Ken, when we used to ship 30 extras a game for our men's team.
Absolutely, and when you add that to, unfortunately, the Proteas women have had their problems in the field recently as well. So there are a lot of runs that they're leaking at the moment, which are under their control, and they can rectify that. Shabnam Ismail is just getting ready to bowl the 47th over now.
She is indeed. Shibi Ismail was quite expensive in her previous spell. She was hit for 4 fours, I think, by Harmanpreet Kaur. No, it actually wouldn't have been. It was the previous batters.
And Ismail just a tidy line just outside.
Prinier, it was at the beginning.
Okay, yeah, Prinier who really got into her, and so now 13 runs required from 23. Ishmael definitely the go-to bowler for South Africa when they need wickets, and James, you and I have seen her take wickets in this circumstance and turn a game around. Sune Lees down on the boundary. We asked Robin Searle what Sune calls herself, and she said loose. So I'm not quite sure why we're feeling so obliged to say least the whole time.
Ismail in again zeroing in on that off stump. Lovely line, and Harmanpreet is just forced to defend it back to the bowler. No run.
So come on, South Africa, we need some good news from cricket today. Just to let you know what's going on in the test match, still 20 for 2 between India and South Africa men, as South Africa just try and bat out the rest of the day, chasing that 601 for 5.
Looks like a bit of a slower ball from Ismail on the off stump, and Harmanpreet turns it to mid wicket. They threw for a quick city needed off
overthrow and line as had a there. Yeah, in a 2-7 is a really fantastic result in men's cricket.
Off stump, and she beats 0 to third off 20, and ideally they'd like to keep the new batswoman on strike, Tania down there, just to perhaps get it down to run and ball needed off the last 2 overs.
Yeah, I think so. Harmanpreet Kaur certainly sounding like she is on song in the at the non-strikers end at the moment, and the longer South Africa can keep her at the non-strikers end, the better. A real old campaigner for India.
Fuller outside off stump, and Tania steers it, and a good diving stop there by, it looked like Sune Loose at a backward point gully type position. Run.
Yeah, it's a good fielding there. Probably Lizelle Lee standing there. I think I saw Sune off on the boundary a little bit earlier, and I know Sune definitely when she hasn't got the gloves on, likes to lurk at of John T. Rhodes, but often just as a...
In full, Tania chips it back over the bowler's head. They're coming for a single. And the throw is wide. They make it. So 11 now needed off 18 balls at the end of the 47th over. Very tidy over by Shabnim Ismail. Just keeping India to a handful of singles. But India still very much in the driving seat here with Harmanpreet Kaur going well.
In Pune, Terence de Bruin has just hit Yadav for 2 consecutive fours, and that takes him on to 15 off 13, and South Africa 28 for 2. Both batsmen at the crease currently going at more than a runner ball. Temba at 7 off 7 and Terence off 15 off 13. So they're not going to die hoping, die wondering. How do you even bat in those circumstances? I've no idea. I mean, what plan do you have? I've absolutely no idea. South Africa probably now on the losing end of this game. 11 runs required from 18 balls. It is going to be Ayabonga Kaka to bowl her final ball of the match. She's had a very, very mixed bag. She's 3 for 58 of her 9 overs.
In comes Kaka to Tania, full outside the off stump, square drive, and again super fielding there by backward point, and very nearly a run out as well. The throw just fractionally wide of the stumps, and the time it took wicketkeeper Chetty to gather the ball and break the stumps, I think might have just been enough.
I didn't realize she actually broke the stumps there. I think she might be into something here. It's because I assumed she had missed the stump. So it was flat batted out to Tumisika Kune on the ring. She fired it in. Trisha Chetty running in, got overbalanced. Oh no, she was definitely in. But Trish overbalanced slightly, was moving left to right while she took the ball. And then, although she actually had plenty of time to break the wickets, her weight was just going in the wrong direction. Yeah, and I think maybe a proactivity. Well, maybe she didn't have time to get up to the stumps when she should have.
Kaka in again. It's a low full toss, driven straight to cover though by Tania. Yeah, I think a bit harsh on Sekikuni there. The throw was actually a good one, and Trisha Chetty, just the momentum of getting up to the stumps. She caught the ball and then took another step away from the stumps, which meant bringing the ball back to the wicket took just a fraction too long.
Indeed, so 11 runs needed now from 16 balls. Can Ayabonga Kaka rescue her afternoon here with some last-minute glory?
Good length outside off stump. It slashed through the covers past the fielder, but just a single because the cover sweeper tidies up. So 10 needed or 15 balls now by India.
Yeah, Marizan Cup doing the fielding there and the deep extra coverage. They often have her field out there, which is quite unusual for a fast bowler, but she's got a very, very safe pair of hands in this team, and I think they put her where they think the high ball is going to go.
And also a very strong arm, of course, as Kaka comes in that wide outside off stump and is called wide by the umpire, just what South Africa didn't need.
Yeah, I think she was trying to bowl the slower ball there and it stuck slightly in her fingers and she dragged it down and dragged it wide of the off stump. Just to remind you what's going on in Pune, India was 601 for 5 declared, South Africa 29 for 2 now. Terence de Bruin is on 15, Temba Bavuma is on 8 off 8.
Kaka in again wide outside the off stump, and Harmanpreet steps across and slashes it high over point for a one bounce for a super shot, and that is probably going to settle the outcome now with just 5 runs needed or 14 deliveries.
I'm looking over a four.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, a really, really good shot there by Harmanpreet Kaur. She had a bit of a slash at it, but got plenty of bat on it, and it went bouncing less than a metre from the rope to go through for very, very upright stance, high back lift.
And now Harmanpreet sweeps. It's a low full toss from Kaka. Through it goes to the square leg boundary. 4 more runs.
And that brings the scores level. We've made the commitment, so we'll stay here for the winning runs from India. And we'll then we'll then go back across to the test match from Pune. But this hasn't been great bowling from Ayabonga Kaka today at all. She's, I think, probably been lucky to get the 3 wickets that she has. We haven't actually seen the 3 wickets that she got, but certainly has come back from injury and not quite been where I think we need her to be as South Africans. And so now the Proteas, in an act of massive optimism, bringing the field in, trying to pressure the batter now, and keep her on strike. But she just drives it straight at Laura Wolfert.
And it's hit her on the knee. Wolfert has gone down, unfortunately.
It might have been Marizon Cup, actually.
The batsman, the batwoman, actually steal the run now for the winning run.
That's the worst possible result for South Africa. It was actually off the knee of Marizon Cup. She's properly injured, and there is now a discussion between the umpires as to whether or not they can allow the run to stand. I don't think there's any ruling there about injured fielder as to whether or not you shouldn't run. But that is handshakes all round, and so India win by 5 wickets in that second ODI at Vadodara. We will now switch back across, and what we're going to have to do, James, if I'll ask you to switch back across first, because we're going to have to pause our feed so that you can get back on strike, as it were, and you can take ball by ball. Unless you would like Ken to continue ball by ball on his side, and you would like to come into the colour.
I'm quite happy. I can come in. I think if perhaps if you want to continue, I'm not sure how many overs have we got left in the day. I think probably better from a continuity point of view to do that. I think this the remote stuff works better when there are 2 people, because there's an easier understanding between just the 2 people and having somebody on the couch. We've still got to sort of work that out. So perhaps if Ken can do ball by ball, that'd be great. And it's just the timing may be an issue. So by all means, I think do that, and I'll just continue watching on this side and listening to you. But I'm going to switch off now. So thank you very much for the opportunity once again, and we'll chat again soon. I hope South Africa are going to at least stay 2 wickets down until the end of play today. Nice being with you again on the air, and having Ken there with you and chatting to Robin Searle earlier on today was really a pleasure. Thanks, Simon, and it's goodbye from me here in Cape Town.
Cheers, James. Thanks very much. And so we now, Ken, it's all you and I, mate, here in Pune. 3 slips in place, and Umush coming in to Temba Bavuma.
And Bavuma just pushes that into the covers. Had thoughts of a single, but quickly changed his mind. So South Africa 33 for 2, thanks to James King for his stout efforts through most of the day. Virat Kohli-like effort, really. He's dominated the day, and let's hope, as he said, that South Africa can get to stumps with just 2 wickets down.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's a difficult one because South Africa really are in a hiding to nothing now. But if they can bat for a day and a bit, particularly, I think Tiernas de Bruin. Unfortunately, the other guy who really needed to get some batting time in was Aiden Markram, and he was gone for a second ball duck. But Tiernas de Bruin in particular, I would love to see make some serious runs here. They would be career-saving runs at this point in his life.
Yeah, as Bavuma just pushes Yadav to cover point, no run. Absolutely, Tiernas de Bruin, there's a lot of pressure on him. One feels this could be the last chance saloon as Yadav comes in. Bavuma edges, drops short of third slip. Who gets a hand to it though? Virat Kohli. He's probably saved 4 runs there. Bavuma just prodding a bit at a wider delivery outside off stump, got the edge, and fortunately it dropped short.
Yeah, it was a bit of a slash at it, and did it drop short of him? He certainly very, very steep slip cordon, and that third slip where Virat Kohli is standing is really, really close to the batter, and it flew fast to him.
Yadav shorter, and Bavuma goes back and again steers it to point. No run.
You watch a lot of domestic cricket. What was Tiernas de Bruin like at domestic level?
probably the most dominant batsman at domestic level. And I wonder if that, in a strange way, hasn't got something to do with his problems now, because he tends to get outplayed. Playing shots. He's not often being dismissed, beaten by a really good delivery. He's getting out on the drive, he's getting out on the pull or the hook or the cut, and maybe he's just too confident. He had a bit of a way shape there. Bavuma driving and gets into brain 19, and that's the end of the 8th over.
So Terence de Bruyn is there on 19 off 19, Bavuma 8 off 14. South Africa 33 for 2 after 8 overs. So, I mean, they're going along at 8 runs and over, which is often the case, actually, when teams are woefully behind. The pressure almost lifts off. Certainly the guys who are not batting for their career. September Bavuma would be one of those. Terence de Bruyn, though, has gone along at a runner ball. He's hit 4 fours so far. Has looked pretty good, not streaky at all. There's clearly potential there, but just not quite converting it at the moment. His test match average under 20 runs per wicket, and he's 27 years old. Had a birthday 3 days ago, so he would definitely think of himself as in that perfect time to be making a serious stab at a test career.
First bit of spin as Ravindra Jadeja replaces Ishant Sharma, immediately straight onto a length. De Bruyn comes forward and defends no run.
I think we could almost jingle up Ravindra Jadeja. I'll do it just after this.
Oh, De Bruyn, very awkward shot that. He was trying to work it to the leg side, got a leading edge, which fortunately made it over cover, but no run. Very lucky to survive there. There's a shortish cover, and it just got over his head as De Bruyn comes forward and pushes that out defensively to the onside. Jadeja does the fielding himself.
So 2 slips in place, a silly mid-off, catching cover, whatever you want to call it.
Jadeja pulling the length back a bit, and this one De Bruyn allows to go through to the wicket keeper.
And then behind those guys, in that immediate catching cordon, the cover is close. That's where Virat Kohli was standing, where it went over his head, and